Hello and welcome back, fellow film chewers. Welcome to the Oscars Project, where we watch and discuss every Best Picture film from 1960 to current day. And we are in 1983, the Best Picture winner, Terms of Endearment, written by Larry McMurtry, which I thought was interesting because he's the author of Lonesome Dove and some
Mm.
westerns, and it's very well. That alone was interesting enough for me. But it is a bittersweet portrait of family love and the ways that ordinary lives can feel both painfully small and immeasurably vast. The other nominees that year: The Big Chill, The Dresser, The Right Stuff, and Tender Mercies. So as usual, I'm here with Chris and Jared, and I think this is classified on most, like we just discussed, on most sites as a comedy. How would you define this movie? Well, how would you describe it?
The saddest comedy I ever saw.
I didn't chuckle once. I mean, it was wryly amusing at points. But yeah.
I chuckled a lot at some of Jack Nicholson's
Nicholson.
antics. His character was amusing. But boy, oh boy, this kind of a depressing movie at the end there.
Well, I'm gonna start off actually with my main premise of the movie, which is it not 2.5 hours of you making people who are terrible look okay? Even before the end and the death and the cancer and all of that kind of stuff, I got to the point that actually they're just flawed, very flawed people, whereas the first half an hour I hated watching in totality because they're just so awful in so many levels. This terrible mother can't even bloody sleep by herself. It's just all of that stuff that, all of every single one of them is not a great person, but by a certain point of the film, you go, look, they're just getting on with life.
That's interesting, because the film starts out with the screen's black except for this little tiny light in the corner, and I think it's a night light, and and I think that kind of sums up what you're saying there, Chris. It's like everything's black, but these characters, they all have a little tiny light in them somewhere. They're not they're not the greatest people, but they got something that you can latch onto at some point during the film. And you brought up the mother, and the first thing you notice about her is that she needs to shake things up.
Yeah.
All the time. The baby's sleeping. She's like, nope, gotta wake it up, make it cry, and she showed that like consistently throughout the film. She had to shake things up a little bit. Even her own life, when that was her whole premise for getting involved with the neighbor, was she needed to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, and like the divisive wedding and all that stuff, it was all around her need to meddle and just not be complacent with what's going on around her without her getting in there and shaking things up.
Speaking of the mom, it's the second appearance from Shirley MacLaine in our series. She was in the 1960s.
And Danny DeVito as well,
Department.
I will point out, even though he's less chatty in this one.
Yeah, I loved his character. He looks better now than he did back then. but yeah. I think this movie reminded me a lot of a film like Steel Magnolias.
Yeah,
with the family drama and the spoiler alert, the death at the end. I think some of the reasons why movies like this are so popular or so they connect is because the characters are so flawed, and it's almost like watching a family, watching people do things and make decisions that you almost feel a little guilty watching. It's almost like you're spying in on someone's life, and they seem like, because everyone's has their flaws and everyone has their there are things they do good and they do bad, and we're all growing and learning and do stupid shit from time to time. But I think that's why people connect with films like this because they're honest and you peer beyond the curtain. Although the mom and the sister were, while the connection seemed genuine, they were a little, you know, I don't know.
Well, that actually brings me to the main point about the mum, actually, because I sort of felt like it was trading on the fact that everybody loves Shirley MacLaine. You know, that kind of thing, to give her enough time to go past. I wonder if you watched this in a vacuum and you didn't know who Shirley MacLaine was, that you would kind of go, oh my God, I can't. Every time this person's on the screen, I'm going to throw up or barf or something. Whereas because it's her, you know, and such a beloved character actor and all of that kind of stuff, people are waiting for the redemption and they expect a little craziness, they expect a little bit of over the topness, and I think it uses its casting very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely uses like you said, the casting. Jack Nicholson's character, like nobody. I was commenting because I was watching this with my wife, and I was commenting, and I said, if somebody else had this role, it would be a completely different role. It would not be the role it is with him there. He is such a unique persona that he brought something to that role that just wasn't in the script and wasn't planned at all because he's so strange, that guy. And he just brings something to roles that just it's craziness. There's a certain level of craziness that he brings to it, and it to me that made the film more watchable than otherwise, because the rest of the characters were they were hard to like you said earlier, and they they didn't have that comedic presence that Nicholson has, that lightened up the movie at points that really needed it. And the so yeah, nothing could save the movie like his role did in this case. I
think of it until you mentioned Crazy and Jack Nicholas, but this is the second appearance from Jack Nicholas too in our series with Muff Over the Cuckoo's
before
Nest.
Nicholson.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's true. Yeah. So MacLaine, Nicholas, DeVito.
John Lithgow
has Jeff
Deborah Winger. Jeff Daniels? I don't think so.
Jeff Daniels? No. I always think of him as Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. Yeah.
Not sure if that's a good or bad thing. Compliment.
Again, a great bit of casting. Again, Jeff Daniels is very hard to dislike. So you sort of feel like Emma's character, Deborah Winger's character, when she kind of has accepted that he's just a goofball, you know, and that he still does love her despite the infidelity and all of that kind of stuff, and she's doing the same. And it was the only problem really came when she was faced with a face-to-face and couldn't run away from it, you know, those two times. You kind of, the veneer has to slip at that stage and it becomes personal and real in front of your eyes, even though they both knew what was going on. It was it's such an interesting thing because they're all terrible people, but they're all honest in their own ways. You know, there's an honesty to every single one. Jack Nicholson doesn't shy away from the fact of who he is. Even going in his room and the astronaut pictures and the side in that conversation that he has with the mum, and he basically says, like, you got to use what you have. Like, well, why wouldn't I put the pictures of the astronauts? There's only been 109 people ever. It's like, why wouldn't I do that? So there is an honesty that goes through it for all of their terribleness. Same with the mum character, same with Emma, same with Flap. What a name. Same even Patsy. Even Patsy, when she says, like, I don't want all the kids, I just want the daughter. You know,
right,
they're all honest in their way. And I think that's what gives it a demon factor by the end of it, because you just, a bit like you said, Jared, like, we're all flawed. And I think sometimes we don't like to admit that to ourselves. And when we look at other people, it makes us feel better about ourselves. Well, at least we're better than them. Yeah. But I think by about halfway through the film, you go, I don't know if I am better than them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and underlying all of that is the tragedy, you know, the tragedy of her getting cancer and stuff like that at such a young age. And, you know, and the mother of such young kids. Um, and and what you said, Chris, earlier about seeing ourselves in the characters, that they do come together to
Yeah.
help, to try to help support each other in that moments, even though her best friend was like, "I only gonna want to take one kid," or what have you. But the which was really, really weird. But
Yeah.
but the but they do come together. Like they have that strength of at least familial ties to support each other in the end, um, in spite of what they may have put each other through throughout the whole film and throughout their lives. So there is something to be said about that that resilience of the human character to see past the flaws and and act when it's important, you know. And so I think that's kind of what the film's trying to bring out. And no matter how flawed we are, we're still gonna be there at the end.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Yeah.
Even if it's only for one or two kids, whatever.
Yeah, it is for just a daughter. But Jared, since we started the series, one of the things that I've done since hearing you talk about all these movies is I've paid more attention to the opening scenes and to the music. And the opening scene in this film, and then it kind of dawned on me last night when I was thinking about it. The opening scene is the mom going to check on the baby and make sure the baby's alive in the crib. And the end is is the daughter dying, and that seemed like those two bookends, the beginning of her life and the end of her life, and the tragedy of her not growing older and outliving the mom. And that just kind of hit me a little bit to think of the beginning and end, the bookends that it creates.
Yeah, from black to black. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interestingly, actually, that scene at the start, the bit that, again, rarely amusing for me rather than laugh out loud funny, is the fact that she thinks the baby's dead. She climbs climbing in and then shaking the baby till it starts to cry. And rather than soothe it, she just kind of shoves it a little bit. Yeah, it's okay, it's alive. So when the baby needs the attention, she doesn't want anything to do with it. She just leaves the room to go, as long as it's alive, I've done my job as a mother. And kind of like you say, towards the end, she's ever present with Emma, and she's the one that steps up and does all of that kind of stuff. And that, I don't know if transformation, but that changing of her as a character, she's found love in her own life. It sort of creates a nice a nice kind of character arc for her to go ahead and do that. Even her that stop point where she tells Flap that she's going to take the children, and he, I think quite rightly, says, "You don't have the right to say that to me." He has the discussion with his wife, and they do come to the same situation. I think that's an incredibly powerful piece of writing, I think, at that stage, because these are two people that can't even sit together in a canteen full of strangers. That was very forced, and all of that stuff comes in with it. And when they do get together, they can't bear to be each other's presence. Yet at the end, there's a peace with it, and it's almost quite beautiful.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Yeah. And isn't that kind of life and people, though? It's always almost beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful, but there's always something that's not quite right. And so I think life is never just perfect. It's always a little, there's always something going on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, one of the lines I really liked that MacLaine's character said, which I think kind of sums it up pretty well, was, "Don't worship me until I've earned it." And it's almost like the baby couldn't even be loved until the baby earned it, in the beginning. And then and it kind of went that way for all the characters. You kind of had to earn your spot, in people's eyes. And I just I liked that when she delivered that line, because she was talking to one of her guys, or was it the neighbor? I think she was talking to. I can't remember who.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember who she said it to, but it was quite poignant.
Yeah. Yeah,
the
my
parenting
favorite.
decisions. Oh, sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead,
I was
Chris.
gonna say my favorite line actually in the whole movie is when the mum and daughter are talking and says like we're always fighting, and the daughter goes, "Are we?" Like they're busy saying every time they have a conversation, they're fighting, and the daughter doesn't see it that way at all. Even though I think we as the audience kind of identify with actually what she's saying in that case, that's just the household she was brought up in. That was the life and the mother that she's had since she was very young. So she doesn't see it as fighting. She actually sees that as endearment and love, actually, as the thing that kind of interest that you take in people. Again, really amusing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's very relatable for
Mhm.
an audience watching that, like, because
Definitely.
it just shows you how, people grow up differently in different ways, and what one person sees as, you know, uh, um, conflict, another person doesn't. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
so it all depends on your perceptions and where you're coming from.
Yeah, and also the some of the parenting decisions from Flap and Emma with the kids, and I was convinced in about the middle of the film when they go upstairs and their son is downstairs and gets his jacket on and goes up. I was convinced he was gonna walk into traffic or something. I
Yeah.
thought this was gonna, but there's some, yeah, it's funny seeing the differences now of those kind of things and those decisions. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought the same, Steve. If that makes you feel any better,
Yeah.
that the scene
Oh,
was
yeah.
okay.
No, me too.
so set up, and that might have been a deleted scene. Actually, that might have been a thing where he goes out and hurts himself and that kind of stuff. But
Director's cut. Yeah.
it sort of wasn't needed because it did kind of set the scene for them being imperfect parents in a lot of ways. They sort of lived in the moment and that kind of stuff, and but that actually at the core of it, they did really like each other. Regardless of responsibilities or outside responsibilities or otherwise. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I I love that scene with the whole the car scene when Nicholson gets thrown into the ocean.
Oh yeah.
if
That
you
that
wanted me on my
cracked me
back,
up.
if you wanted to get me on my back, you're resident.
That
Or the
cracked me up. It was amazing how wild that he got. And it's funny because she's scared throughout the whole thing,
Yeah.
throughout that. But she had her foot on the gas. Right? He was up, his feet were on the steering wheel, but he was up
Yeah.
top. She had her foot on the gas, So it just kind of represented some level of control that she had over the relationship
Yeah.
that was going to, reveal itself eventually over time, and eventually, despite all his bravado and his risk taking um, qualities, he eventually falls into her orbit, and
Mm.
eventually she has control. And I and I think the line he said was, "You do bring out the devil in me," and which is classic Jack Nicholson.
Mhm.
If anybody plays a devil, it's him. But
Yeah, absolutely.
the um so, and I think that scene where she's scared of what's happening, but she has control. She's got her foot
Yeah.
on the gas, and they specifically zoomed into that. While that whole that whole scene was going on, and that and then it cracked me up flying into the ocean like that. I was like,
That's
wow,
good.
that's a great stunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like she almost meets her match with him. Like when they get in the car and he tells her, "Do you want to put the top on?" And she says no. And then later she's like freezing and she's, can we put the top
Top.
on?" It's like, well, it's a home in the garage. It's like, I never had the top. I just asked you if you
Yeah.
wanted it. So it's the kind of the wit and the back and forth that they have.
Yeah.
But yeah, with if he was a different actor, it'd be a completely different feeling
Yeah.
for this whole movie.
And I also like his honesty. Like they start this relationship. She's obviously very into it, and he gets to the point like I feel like I'm being obligated to be something that I never intended to be, and he walks away from it at that time. Like even to the point I think she says, "I feel humiliated," and he says he basically taps her in the knee and walks away. and there was really nothing. He wasn't engaging in that side of the conversation. He wasn't that kind of person, and yet again, this honest side of him, this good side of him, came out when he went to visit her, and she needed just somebody to comfort her when
Yeah.
Emma was going through the thing. Again, that kind of bit where you go, like, he's an asshole, but also there's an honesty to him. There's a bit to him that will stand up and be there. And then when the kids come to stay, he doesn't want to be anywhere to be seen at the start, but again comes around in his
Yeah.
own time and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. And that ties into the whole humanity coming out
Yeah.
eventually towards the end of the film.
Yeah.
What were both of your thoughts on the music? Because the music was done by Michael Gore. He did the score for it. He also is known for Fame and some other movies during the 80s and 90s. But the music, I thought some of the music choices I like the score. I think, especially at the end in these tragic moments, there's the main theme it's a little bit upbeat, and it seemed like strange times for that song.
Mm.
And like it seemed like it didn't really hit it seemed out of place for me at sometimes with the score, that the placement of the music was a little bit off for me, but I wanted to hear what you guys thought.
I think it goes with the kind of genre conventions we talked about at the start. Like I'd finished watching it and kind of went to look at reviews and that kind of stuff, and a lot of people felt that the ending was cheap. If you know what I mean, her death was sort of cheap to create a bit of melodrama and stuff in it. But I think
Hmm.
actually when I think about the choice of music, etc., on that stage, it's not supposed to be tragic, leave you in a total downer. I feel like there is an essence of hope at the end, and a strange sort of upbeat ending. It's like she didn't die with things unsaid. She even had the conversation with her son about someday you will beat yourself up over the fact that you didn't tell me you love me, and I told you. I'm telling you now. I know you love me. That's absolutely fine. Like, all of those things were said, and so for
Hmm.
me, it isn't a desperately sad, and it's sad that she lost her life. But at the same stage, there was an awful lot more truth spoke at that time than most other people speak in the rest of their lives in some ways. So for me, I walked away from the movie kind of feeling a bit uplifted, actually, rather than down and
Hmm.
desperate, because they didn't dwell on the fact. They started off with a couple of lumps. They did a couple of light investigations. It wasn't this half an hour of where she worries in the movie. It was just very much about her making connections and then taking the trip to New York and seeing how awful people were there. And that wonderful scene when she tells people that people can talk about the
The
cancer, and
grocery
the
store,
girl
yeah.
walks up to her at the party. That might have been the funniest moment for me in the entire movie, when the food was spat out across the way. Yeah, so to me, it sort of was uplifting, and I think the music for me kind of led the tone that it didn't ever want to be totally down. It didn't ever want to
Hmm.
be, um, for you to walk away with it and just kind of go, "Oh God, this is not like a film like A Separation or Capernaum or any of those things which we call tragedy porn, or poverty porn. Sometimes that you just come away from it going, oh my God, life is absolutely terrible. Why I couldn't watch that ever again, even though it makes you very emotional. So, and I don't think it was ever going for that.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, it's a good point. The
Mhm.
I could see the criticism towards the film
Hmm.
as being like all those points you mentioned about her not leaving anything unsaid and stuff like that. That could be viewed as a little bit unrealistic because nobody's really able ever to wrap up their lives like that.
Absolutely, yeah, true.
Um, so but if they wanted to keep it, like you said, light, they'd have to do that, so
Mhm.
there's a balance there, I guess.
I guess for the audience that they're looking for and the type of movie that they want it to be, I guess, yeah, it makes sense that they would want it to be a little bit uplifting, not too down, not too tragic, and end on as an upbeat, kind of hopeful note as you can. C- Almost reminded me a little bit of Forrest Gump, at the end of Forrest Gump, when all these really sad things happen, and
Yeah.
At the end, there's a sense of life is restarting again, kind of hope for the future. It's just a cycle that's never going to end. So you just accept it and
Hmm.
get ready for the next adventure kind of thing, the next, next
Mm.
stage. So yeah, it makes sense. I guess you can't be too down and she has to wrap things up. Otherwise, I think the audience for this would be a little bit disappointed.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just enough tragedy to make you sad, but not enough to
Yeah.
ruin your day.
Make you
Yeah.
feel.
And the movie kind of keeps things moving. It, it for that. It's kind of for that purpose almost because like everything, the way that time passed by and it jumped very quickly from one time period to the next, and all of a
Hmm.
sudden you see these kids that are different
Yeah.
actors growing up and stuff, and how they had to move all of a sudden for a job, and then they gotta move again because he got a head of department and what have you, and
Is his mistress moved? I think you'll find it was
yeah,
nothing to do
yeah,
with the edit department. But anyway.
right, because the mistress had to move, and but the arguing over the money, the you know the wedding, everything like boom, boom, boom pops up fast in these quick spans of time.
Yeah.
That kind of leads into that sense that they need to wrap things up in the way they did.
Yeah.
She does look older. I thought that was I'm not sure how they did it, but in the beginning, she looks very young,
Yeah.
and then as the film goes on and the children get bigger, Jeff, uh, Jeff,
Daniels.
forget his name, Daniels, he doesn't seem to change much
Yeah.
physically. He looks the same throughout, but uh, I think she looks like she gets older. It's strange. I'm not sure how they did it, but I'm not sure if it was makeup or hairstyle or but she does look like she ages through the movie.
Yeah. She matures into your body for sure. If that makes sense, whether it's I think it's mostly her style, if you ask me. But there is definitely the way that it shapes her face and that kind of stuff. Definitely makes her
Mhm.
appear older, like she's had a couple of kids, she's lived a little bit, all of that kind of stuff. So that when she meets up with John Lithgow's character, Mr. Burns, the bank manager, they seem appropriate age wise to each other, even though Jeff Daniels doesn't really change. I think you had mentioned it. I think when we were talking about Kramer versus Kramer, Steve, about how these movies sort of go against what I was experiencing, what I thought the movies were going to be in the early 80s. Like, if you look at the cliff notes of all of these movies, whether Ordinary People, Kramer versus Kramer, and this, they all deal with family tragedy in some
Mhm.
way, shape, or form. And if you were from the outside looking at the synopsis of all these films, you would have thought that they were very dour and that it sort of matched the feeling of the country at the time. But all three of them kind of have this upbeat side of them, very much about people going through stuff and then coming up at the other end. And they put the tragedy at different points within each of those films. Obviously, Kramer versus Kramer's in the middle, the breakdown of the relationship. Original People, Ordinary People's at the start, and this one's at the end. And I think that
Mhm.
we often talk about how the previous winner seems to influence the films that come next and the winners that come after it in a lot of ways. And for me, stepping into the 80s and thinking, God, I was dreading this a lot. And I know Kramer vs. Kramer 79, but that kind of period, it has really surprised me, actually, the tenor and the manner of how they've dealt with these family dramas through this period.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit the time like what was happening in the country. It seems like, but the other nominees, I mean, there's some years when there's some heavy hitters, but
Yeah.
this year the only other movie that The Big Chill I know was big. The Dresser, The Right Stuff, and Tender Mercies. Not really films that are still talked about. I mean, there's
Yeah,
other years where we have like
yeah,
E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark. You can even say On Golden Pond, Raging
Hmm.
Bull. I mean, there's some Apocalypse Now. I mean, there's some
right.
years that are, but this year seemed a little light.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, I haven't seen any of those other movies, so Um, I couldn't really tell you, but also maybe I haven't seen them because I really haven't heard much about them either. So, uh, I mean, I think I did see the right stuff, but
Mm.
it wasn't something that stuck with me or blew me away or anything.
Yeah, seen the Big
Interestingly
Chills.
enough, The Big Chill is a comedy drama
Yep.
starring in some ensemble cast. Follows a plot of a group of baby boomers who attend University of Michigan, reuniting 12 years after their friend Alex dies by suicide.
Yeah.
So
Gonna
another
say
feel
that
good
quite
movie.
quite similar styles of films, at least in design. From the outset, I was just about to say that about that. Tender Mercies, I don't know at all, um, but the other ones, at least, um, I do know about. Um, but this is the year, I think, in terms of notoriety, I think the terms of Endearment is the one that people would talk about from this year. Like,
Yeah.
this is running, as we kind of said previously, Chariots of Fire versus, like, was it Raging Bull that year, I believe? Like, there's no comparison in terms of long term effect on on film history, as you go through it. But I mean, that's easy
Mm.
to say, that they're always trying to make a judgment and they're always picking a winner based on
Yeah.
the state of the country at the time, what's being talked about, the amount of money that's been spent to make these films win, etc. We get the luxury of looking at these after time and seeing, like, the progression of Scorsese's career versus some of the other people, etc. And Raging Bull elevated his career, but the rest of his career has elevated Raging Bull in reverse in some ways because of the quality of his work over such a long period of time. So it's interesting.
Tender Mercies is a drama directed by Bruce Bursford, written by Horton Foote. Robert Duvall is a singer-songwriter whose career and relationship with an ex-wife daughter were wrecked by alcoholism.
Mhm.
Another feel good. And
Another, yeah,
The Dresser, it was a
yes,
83
Talbot Finney.
drama, British, yeah, by
Yeah.
Peter Yates. Tells the story of an aging actor's personal assistant struggling to keep his employer's family together. It's another family drama.
Yeah,
Very dramatic, 1983.
yeah,
Seems to be all the rage back then.
yeah. Very reflective.
Yeah.
I suppose it's probably worth mentioning the fact that there's a similar scene from the start of the movie with Emma when the kids wake up her and Flap and say that the baby's not well when she gets croup, and the difference in
Hmm.
attentive of both parents at a certain stage. And I think we actually do judge Flap a little bit in terms of, like, he feels useless kind of sitting, there's no point the two of us kind of not getting any sleep with the baby, and you sort of
Oh, yeah.
judge him for it. But there is a truthfulness to that as well. But again, it shows the difference between that nature nurture thing that I think we often talk about. She was the daughter, and the mother dealt with it one way, and the daughter dealt with it a very different way.
Yeah. It's a very, yeah. It's, there is some honesty to that. It's like, yeah. That that was some pretty heavy, uh, humidity going on in that room. Looked like a steam
Yeah,
room.
it was well done. Yeah. Actually, back to your previous point about the films that it was up against in 1983, I've just looked it up. Terms of Endearment, it was second in box office takings that year for
Hmm.
things. So it also achieved kind of great success. I mean, it earned a third, basically, of Return of the Jedi, but I don't think that's going to surprise anybody in terms of that. But the fact that none of the Star Wars movie earned a thing. And we'll fast forward to this kind of, and look how Lord of the Rings kind of fared around that time, and how, the Return of the King got rewarded for the three films, and yet
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi didn't. Other notable ones from that year: Flashdance, Trading Places, War Games,
Hmm.
personal favorite, Sudden Impact, Octopussy, Risky Business was out that year as well. So plenty of good movies that year, like, no doubt.
War Games was good.
War Games very good.
Matthew Broderick, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
A little ahead of its time there. 1983.
Yeah, I wonder if I showed that to my kids now, who are teenagers, that whether they look at this and go, "This is so unrealistic." But at the time, it was like, this could be happening again. It was that kind of idea that you as a kid could influence the world on a global level, you know, that kind of stuff, just by messing about in your bedroom. I think there's a certain appeal to that.
That would never happen.
No.
Yeah. Nobody would ever post secret plans on a Discord server.
No.
No, ever.
Wouldn't happen.
That'd be ridiculous. Yeah, so I think it is. 1981 is the most curious choice for me with Ordinary People, Chariots of Fire, Gandhi, and then Terms of Endearment. That's the strangest one. And then we go to Amadeus in 1984.
Looking forward to that. Definitely.
Another short, tight movie.
Oh, absolutely. I might start watching it tonight. Yeah.
Is it long? I don't remember.
It's like 3 hours, I think.
3 hours.
Oh, wow.
It's biopic. I mean, all of these biopics have been
all the biopics,
super long. But it doesn't appear in the top 10 films. I think that's for damn sure. But when we look at, and this would be an interesting point to say for next year, 1984 in film, in terms of box office, was pretty sensational. In terms of the films that have lasted the sync the time, and how being entertained at the cinema had sort of taken over in a variety of forms, you know.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't think Terms of Endearment would actually even do well at the theaters today.
Would never be made.
Just because of the way that theaters are dying these days. And it wouldn't have been the draw that, you know.
I can see this being more of like a Netflix original than something that would, you know, made for the theater.
The film that's most like that in recent memory is probably Marriage Story by Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Something
I think most like that, about a family.
Yeah. Yeah, something that's, you know, lesser space in the theater, you know, limited release, just enough to get it into the talk about Oscars and stuff like that. And
but wasn't it? I'm pretty sure Marriage Story was Netflix as well. At the time,
was it Netflix?
I think it might have been. It sort of sticks in my head as that way, but maybe not. Yeah, but definitely, I think that's where I watched it. Almost certainly, it was Netflix.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember where I watched it, but it was definitely at home. And I have a feeling if Terms of Endearment was made today, it would be in the same situation. Yeah.
I think the same could be said of Ordinary People and Kramer versus Kramer to a large extent. You know, any of those kind of low key, just stories about people, not massive budgets. Maybe spent all of the budget on cast at that time, but yeah, very, very interesting.
It's funny now, the films that bring like big names together are the superhero, the Avengers movies that bring a lot of the stars together. But even then, they're more action. These were more character actors, more serious actors. I hate to see serious I don't mean it as an insult. It's just some movies are spectacle and some are, you know, character driven. So I don't mean that as an insult. Just, you know, the you know, people who are known for their acting over what they do off camera is what I'm talking about. But you don't see that very often anymore.
Yeah. Part of the draw to the cinema back then was going to see a favorite actor.
That's true.
Whereas now it's more the spectacle of the property rather than the actor.
Going to see the character they're portraying, not the actor who's portraying them.
Right.
Which, I mean, I think the movie stars are, at least for now, there's really no movie stars anymore. And there's, like you mentioned, there's no one that you really see anymore. Well, the new Scarlett Johansson movie's coming out. I have to go see it. Nobody says that. So I'm going to go see the new Jurassic Park.
Tom Cruise is probably the last movie star. He's the only one that I can think of. And he's also one of the very few people that has never done TV. You know, everybody else has done TV in some ways and transitioned, and he doesn't. But whether, you know, he has any longevity when he can't be running in films anymore, he's getting to a certain age. And if he can't do the running scene, what else has Tom Cruise got?
That's it? Just can you run?
He can
Okay.
run. He can run
Let's do
really
it. Yeah.
fast, and look like he's running away from something. With there's nobody done it better. Nobody done it better.
Well,
Even in
we'll be
Vanilla Sky, he
seeing
has a
him.
good run.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he runs
yeah.
and everything.
I don't think he runs it in Magnolia.
He
Oh,
runs on the stage.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's one of his best performances. Not to get
yeah,
too
yeah,
far off
yeah,
topic, but
yeah.
I think that's one
Yeah.
of his best performances, Magnolia.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but we'll be seeing some of him coming up.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah, Rayman is
Yep.
good. It's another good one. Other than that, I mean, you don't. This doesn't really happen anymore. These ensemble casts, and this is a pretty. When you really think about it, when you break down all the different actors in it, it's pretty solid cast.
Yeah,
Pretty solid performances, even if the characters were unlikable and annoying. Solid cast, great performances
yeah.
from everybody.
There are a couple of directors that do this kind of ensemble thing, but an awful lot of time it's like stunt casting. So Wes Anderson movies has an awful lot of famous people in bit parts and that kind of stuff that people will volunteer and say, "Look, I want to be in that." Christopher Nolan does it to a certain extent. I'd say Oppenheimer's not too far away, but again, it's very much an action kind of story. It's not this kind of laid back drama where you just get good people in a room and let them act. That stuff's for TV these days. I feel,
Mhm.
and getting people together in that regard. This just says an awful lot about the kind of things that get financed now and get talked about. If it's not a horror movie, if it's not an animation, and it's not a genre action film, there's very, very few of those make it to the cinema for more than a week or two.
Right.
Yeah. If you
Time.
guys are, yeah. Sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
No, time span. You're right. Yeah, the time in cinema. Yeah.
Yeah.
The speaking of Scarlett Johansson and movie stars, she's going to be starring in the new Exorcist movie by Mike Flanagan, and
Yep.
the groans that generated from a lot of the horror fans. That kind of goes to show that the actors now are more. I think they're put in a box and they are given a chance to do other
That's true.
things. They're expected to be a superhero or a drama, or they're not really they're not allowed to have a lot of range. But I'm excited to see what Flanagan does with that property. Hopefully, not another
Yeah.
remake, but
He's got a lot of very exciting properties coming up.
he's gonna be
There's a lot
busy.
of pressure on his shoulders.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. But that's also back to what we said. It's the property
Mhm.
that people are going to see nowadays.
That's right. That's right. Indeed.
So where does this fit on the list?
Well, not one of my favorites.
Ooh.
I did enjoy, the acting and stuff like that, and it's not my top 10. Um, I don't know. I'm putting it just above Ordinary People.
Funny, I have it just above Ordinary People as well, but that makes it in the top 10.
Oh, really? Okay. So,
Yeah, for me.
Yeah, I got it further down, but I mean, it's not that I was like there's a lot of good movies, so
Yeah.
it's not bad. There's only a bottom 3 for bad. The rest are good movies. They're all good movies.
Yeah, there's been lots of. I think lots of good movies. We have a few stinkers, but overall, it's not bad, really,
Yeah.
for as many movies as we've watched.
Yeah.
Again, the big question for me is, will anything take over the number one? Because the number one's a long way number one for me. Like it's there's quite a gap between Godfather and other films.
Yeah. It's that's a good question because that's wow. I don't know.
I mean, looking ahead in the decades to come,
Mm-hmm.
there's really nothing that sticks out that would be a challenger. Even into the 2010s now, I don't really see anything that will challenge even my top 5 maybe. There's some good films, but nothing that really
There's
is gonna be a challenger.
2, I think, for me that are in the conversation. Yeah.
I guess Dances with Wolves and Schindler's List. Are those the two?
Oh, Schindler's List is pretty damn good.
Sans Salams,
Hmm.
I'll put out there. I think it's spectacular. And for me, like, I love American Beauty. Holy shit, I love
Oh,
that
that's a good
film.
one.
Yes,
It's a
I
good
do
one.
too. Yeah.
Interestingly, I think we'll get this. 96 is a year that I find is interesting because I think if a couple of those other movies, in fact, two of them, had a made the Best Picture list, I think they might have done it as well. So Fargo
Jerry
not winning
Maguire's
and
good.
Jerry
Fargo.
Maguire not winning. Even Secrets and Lies, I think, is a phenomenal movie. But definitely those first two, especially Fargo. Fargo is just magnificent. Nobody's talking about The English Patient anymore.
There are some years coming that I'm going to rant and rave. 1998, Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan and The Thin Red Line. Are you fucking kidding me?
And Life
Seriously?
is Beautiful might be the best of them all, actually.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
love
just
That
that.
was that was the
yeesh.
same year as Life is Beautiful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Life is Beautiful is
That is a
magnificent.
far superior movie than Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah.
That is a excellent movie. I've seen that 3 times.
Ridiculous.
Some really interesting, I think, choices through the late 90s, early 2000s. I think there's, questionable.
I'm holding out judgment because it's been a while since I've seen Dances with Wolves, 1990. But
Yeah.
it beat out Goodfellas. So
Mm.
I remember liking it, but it better be good.
I did see it in the cinema at the time, and I remember
Yeah.
the feeling coming out of the cinema at the time. And I have to say, I went with maybe 4 or 5 other people. They all hated it. And
Really?
I loved it. Now, we were, God, what age would I have been? Shit, 12, 13. So, like, it's not really for that generation at that stage, but they hated it. And I was like, that was quite cool or something. But I was at the start of my Costner fandom at that stage as well. I'm a big Kevin Costner stan.
He was on a roll there for a while.
Yeah.
Even 89, Driving Miss Daisy beat up Born on the 4th of July.
Field of Dreams,
Oh.
Dead Poets Society on my left foot. Sweet Jesus.
Jeez. There's some questionable decisions to come.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The guy who wrote the screenplay for Shakespeare in Love just died last week.
It's the best part of it, to be fair.
It was a good screenplay, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know if it was best film, but it was a good screenplay.
Excellent screenplay, yeah.
I just remember Ben Affleck being awful in that movie. I remember how horrible he was.
I mean, I'm going to maybe say that's on par with most of the rest of his career, but there you go.
He has a couple. Like, I think he was good in Argo.
He's not bad in Argo. Yeah, he's not.
He was,
Gone Baby Gone,
has
he's okay.
his,
And
yeah. He has his moments. He's never been wow, I can't believe this.
Can't be saying this in front of a Boston native, though. This is not.
That's true. Jersey to break her kneecaps.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's a wrap for 1983. Unless you guys have anything else for terms of endearment.
No.
Okay. So next up is Amadeus, 1984. 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, that's it.
It's a short one. We'll see where it takes us. But in the meantime, Jared, how can people find you?
You can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and you can find me on the Speculative Speculation podcast, and you can also find me on our weekly polls, comic book podcast for Page Chewing.
And Chris.
Yeah, you can find me in Speculative Speculations as well. I'm not really posting anywhere else, but I do have a Chronicle of Chris YouTube channel, and where I just basically post most of our book discussions that appear elsewhere. Or you can find me on my movie channel and Chris Moan, but I haven't posted anything. They're in like 15 months or something either. So, yeah.
Well, cool. So yeah, and find me on pagestream.com, and that's the best place to find us and see what's going on and what we're up to. But in the meantime, until 1984, in 2 weeks, we'll be talking Amadeus. Thanks everyone for listening, and we will talk to everyone very soon.